but he certainly lived quite a long time, I believe, after that. Whereas Bentley, despite all the protestations, lots of MPs signed things to say, no, he mustn't hang, this is not right. But the judge was concerned, whose name I forget, but he was determined that Bentley would hang to encourage the others. That was the title of the book, to let other
Mm,
people see you're not going to get away with shooting dead a policeman, which in
mm,
fact he hadn't done, but under the legal application of joint enterprise, he was convicted as well. Now, he was hanged in 1955, 54 or 5 at Wandsworth by the famous hangman, I think his name was Albert Pierpoint. And Derek's sister, Iris, she spent the rest of her life
mm,
fighting for his name. Now, in 1993, so that was what, 40 years later,
mm,
she managed, with a lifetime of work, putting pressure on, explaining it, everything, wouldn't let the matter go, wouldn't let it die. She actually won a royal pardon of Derek in 1993. So that he was pardoned for what happened because of the obvious unfairness, you could say, of the joint enterprise law. That he was if they'd both been together, you could say, well, he didn't pull the trigger, but they were both there. That's one thing. But he
mm.
was under arrest. This
Rest,
is
yeah.
what I've never got my head around. And anyway, Iris, she fought for him. She got this to nearly to her dying day. She got this royal pardon, but she still wanted the conviction quashed by the Court of Appeal. Now, she died soon after that, but her daughter Maria promised her mum that she would keep fighting to get this. And in 1998, the Court of Appeal finally quashed his conviction. So he should have been found not guilty, basically. Instead
Mm.
of which, he was hanged for a murder that his accomplice committed, who then spent 10 years in prison and then lived, maybe still lives. I don't know whether he's alive, as I say, but he lived quite a long time after that and may still be alive. Now, my question to you, Cuz, is do you think Derek Bentley should have hanged?
It's a simple one for me actually because I don't think it should have hanged. I don't think so. However, I do think that it deserves time incarcerated. Now, because of the severity of the crime, and obviously the judge trying to send out a message, I think it's all about message. It wasn't about well, it was about justice in a way because a life was lost, but um, it wasn't about meting out justice as it should be. It was about sending out a strong message that the police were not to be were not to be messed with in the way that he
Mm,
did. Well, he wasn't really messing with the police. He actually took the life of a policeman, but he was just trying to send out a really strong message in support of the authority, really. But I don't think that was I don't think that was the right justice. I don't know if there's a wrong justice, but I don't. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't know. I don't know what point where you stand on this anyway. But my point is, he shouldn't have been hanged because it could have been misconstrued
mm.
to to be implying something else or something different. Yeah. So that is my take. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in agreement. I think it
All right.
was completely wrong that he was hanged at all. And as I say, it was one of those cases which eventually led to the massive national debate. Eventually led to the massive national debate about the death penalty. And In fact, another significant case was the last woman to be hanged in England.
All right.
I think it was in about 1956 or seven. Her name was Ruth Ellis, same surname as my two granddaughters, Kimberly and Lucy. So
Yeah.
I've often wondered if there's a sort of connection. I don't think there is down the line somewhere. But hers was pretty much a crime of passion, where she shot dead her lover because I think he cheated on her and so on. So I don't know. I think nowadays crimes of passion are treated it. A crime of passion has almost a natural defence that you were not perhaps in your right mind, as you were saying earlier, when you actually shot somebody. Now that may not diminish the awfulness of killing somebody, but it was felt again at the time she shouldn't have hanged for something like that, but she did, and she was the last woman to be hanged in this country. But overall, when you look at the death penalty, what is your instincts? Now we both agree in the case of Craig and Bentley, and it makes a very interesting read for anyone listening who wants to read an interesting case. Craig and Bentley, Christopher Craig, Derek Bentley, is
Mm.
one to look at. But we both agree, you and I, Cuz, that Bentley should not have hanged. But
No.
what about some other? We won't go to specific cases, but generally, in the case of a really, massacre, a mass slaughter of people, um, would you say that there are sometimes situations where the perpetrator or perpetrators should should face the death penalty? Do you think so?
Uh, it's really deep this because um, if it happens to you, then obviously you want a tougher punishment for it, don't? Because then it becomes personal, then, don't it? But then just looking at it the way it is, I still think um, that the government or the authorities or the lawmakers in this country are right to have abolished it. Um, the simple reason is you do get instances where it's not so clear cut, but then you have a good prosecution lawyer, and he's painted this person to be evil, or more evil than he is, and then this person faces the death penalty, and that could be unjust. And so on those grounds, I would say no. But then when you look at the other extreme of it, where you have somebody that is been proven or even confessed to having committed grievous crimes against the state, as they say, and against the fellow humans, um, I would support it in those instances.
Mm,
But then where do you draw the line? Well, because you're not the one making the decisions, are you? You're not the one making the rules. You're not the one making the law. You're not
yeah,
involved.
yeah,
You're not involved in any aspect of what goes into making of the Constitution when it gets approved then. And so it's a really, really deep issue where I just think I would say yes to some, and I would say no to on the
yeah.
other hand. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably that's my view as well. There are some.
Mhm.
There was a case a few years ago, not that many years ago, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, something like that,
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, where you may or may not remember this in a hotel room, the
Yeah.
Mandalay Bay Hotel, quite high up. A man had a gun, a rifle, probably more than one,
Yeah.
and just across the way, he could open the window. Then I don't think you can open hotel windows nowadays. We certainly couldn't when we were away this year, but
Yeah.
maybe he broke the window. I don't know. Anyway, he shot. There was I think it was a kind of pride rally, something like that, in a car park with everything, bells and whistles going on, just across from the hotel. Anyway, long story short, he shot dead 60 people. He also shot himself when the police cornered him, but maybe that was a case for capital punishment, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this is all we've got time for. Really interesting, very deep, thought-provoking conversation this week. I hope you enjoy it. So join us again next week for another interesting season and episodes of the Alien Spaceship with myself, Emmy Hikins, and he calls me Cuz.
And me, Trevor Gear, and he calls me Bruv.
And so it's a goodbye from me. See you next week.
And goodbye from me.